good day to you. My name is Fred Oakman, and as always, with me today is Mr. Jake Peters. We are PS This Is Awesome, a PlayStation podcast. This is episode 253. This is a show where we share our feelings about the current state of PlayStation. But before we get on with this show today, I want to invite you all to subscribe to our channel on YouTube. YouTube.com/PS This Is Awesome. And if you want to make fun of our trophy list on the PlayStation Network, you can find me at anchorless_81 and Mr. Jake Peters at Jakesaw01. As always, you can write us at psthisisawesome@gmail.com. And most importantly, don't forget to share the show with your friends. Make sure you leave comments, rate the podcast as you see fit. All that stuff helps with the algorithms to get our podcast into more ears. Speaking of ears, you can use your eyes. We have a video podcast as well, which is what you're listening to. But if you prefer to watch podcasts or shows, you can go check out all the fancy dancy stuff that we have going on our YouTube channel. And for new and or long-time listeners, you guys know, but some people might not know, we have a Patreon. And you can support our show for $1 a month at the one and only $1 Club. So you can go to patreon.com/PS This Is Awesome to throw a little bit of thanks our way. And then we will also send you a free die-cut vinyl sticker if you do that and give you a shout-out on the show. With that out of the way, Jake, how are you doing?
I feel a little woozy because I've been varnishing the stair railing for my first to second floor. Mm-hmm. And since it's like freaking 20 degrees outside, I don't want to have all of the windows to the house open.
Yeah.
So I've been leaving one window open that's on the stairs to like try to get some of that out. But needless to say, I'm still kind of huffing a little bit, but because it's oil-based varnish. But
yeah.
That said, other than that, I'm feeling pretty good for Saturday, I suppose.
Yeah. I have an awesome story for the listeners and for you. And I enjoy the thrill of the hunt when it comes to finding rare things in stores or things that are hard to get, right? I enjoy that. I get that with my G.I. Joe figures and, getting exclusive shit once in a while is fun. But something monumental occurred. And I don't know, Jake, you're not probably a big reader. I'm not a big reader. I don't read a lot, But my book collection consists of fantasy novels, like the Lone Wolf novels, maybe some, now I have one Warhammer book, maybe some Mark Twain, some of the, maybe a couple of books on music. And then it has Comac McCarthy's entire book collection because he's the best. He wrote The Road, No Country for Old Men. He has The Orchard Keeper, Child of God. He does Suttree, which is amazing. The Border Trilogy. This guy is essentially... arguably, he's 89 years old. He's a known recluse, right? He's very reclusive. He only has 3 interviews, and I think one of them's with Oprah, and then the other 2 recently surfaced. He's really personally interested in physics, and he has a residency at the Santa Fe Institute. So he's been hanging out there in a little office, and he put out a book 16 and a half years ago, and that was the last we had seen from him. And he's not ever in the public eye, but he is wildly regarded as one of the greats, right? And he's still with us, which is like a really big deal. So 16 years pass. This past November, he releases another novel called The Passenger, which apparently he had at the publishing company just sitting there. For whatever reason, he didn't want it released until recently. And he had written a companion book to it called Stella Maris, which just came out this past Tuesday. And if you're a fan of McCarthy, whether you like or dislike the book, it's a big deal in the literary circles because this guy is just so such a great author. So these 2 books are being now sold as a set, right? And as a promotion piece, Cormac McCarthy, which he has done with some of his first pressings, has signed several of these books, right? But you have to buy them in the set. Now, I already had like each individual book on pre-order from Amazon. I'm 200 pages into The Passenger. I don't talk a lot about this kind of stuff, but I'm a big fan of his. And I was on Reddit about 2 days ago. Now the set came out on Tuesday because both books had to have been released for the set to be offered, because one released in November, the other one came out just this past Tuesday. So here's the crazy thing of it. I'm on Reddit and someone posts, I didn't even know it was a thing. I didn't know that he was signing books and they were out in the wild. No clue. He doesn't do book readings. He doesn't do public book signings. You can't fucking get anything signed from this guy unless you're lucky. So he's 89. This could be his last book. And someone posts on Reddit that they had a signed copy of this that they picked up at a Barnes & Noble's. And everyone is just going like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, are you serious? And like, it turns out that some Barnes & Nobles across the U.S. had gotten a signed set of The Passenger and Stella Maris, with only one of the books being signed, but it's in cellophane. So the way that this works, what it is Cormac McCarthy was sent blank pages, right? Book pages, and he signs them. And then when they make these special books, they bind that page into the beginning of the book, and it's the first pressing, and then you get a book with his signature on it, in it. So it's not like he's lugging around maybe 1,000 books. You know, he's 89 years old. He's not. So they send him these, and he does this. And the rumor is that he's signed 300 copies of his book, The Road, and gave it to his son, so that it adds value to his estate when he passes. And I can't imagine what those are going to be fucking worth. But I'll say this. A signed copy of Sutri right now goes for $15,000. So 2 days ago, I tell Chelsea about this, and she goes, you're really going to think that they're going to check at Barnes & Noble's if they have a signed copy of his book? Like, she said, that's a ridiculous thing to even call and ask them, because there's a Barnes & Noble's in Erie, Pennsylvania. And I'm like, yeah, and if it's there, I'm sure it's gone. So a day comes and goes. Yesterday, I'm recording vocals for One of My Land, and Chelsea sends a text, and she says, hey, come on upstairs. Let's order some pizza for dinner. And I was like, yeah, that sounds fine. So while she's ordering pizza for dinner at Pizza Hut, I jump on Reddit, and this guy writes, and he goes, I found a copy at Barnes & Noble's. Be vigilant, because you never know who might have it. So I go out to my car, and I get in the car, and I call Barnes & Noble's in Erie, and I go, hey, I said, as I'm driving to Pizza, I said, hey, this is kind of a weird ask, but like, is there any chance that you have a signed McCarthy novel up there? And she goes, you mean the new one he just released? I said, yeah. She goes, well, we do have the box set, and I know that we got one of them was signed. She goes, and I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? And she's like, yeah, let me see if we still have it. She goes, I can't imagine we do. And she's like, yeah, it's still here actually. And I'm like, can I buy it? And she's like, yeah, but you have to be a member of the Barnes & Noble's book club. I'm like, what's that cost? And she's like, $25. I'm like, sign me up. Let's do it. Let's get a signed McCarthy. If I get a fucking signed McCarthy, this is amazing. And she's like, well, you got to do it in person. And for those who don't know, Erie's like a 40-minute drive. And it's like 7:30, and I'm on my way to Pizza Hut in our town. And she's like, well, we close at 9 o'clock. And I know this Reddit post just dropped where this guy's like, be vigilant. And I'm like, fuck, Erie County has like over 100,000 people, you know, all the colleges, all the literary circles, all the book club people. Like, there's no way I'm going to get my hands on this before the end of the night. So I get the pizza, I drop it off, and I tell Chelsea, I'm driving to Barnes & Noble's right the fuck now. Because I know the value of this thing. And it's priceless to me, but I know the value. So I go like 85 miles an hour to Erie. I'm just praying I don't get pulled over, because that would just I wouldn't be able to make. So I get up there, I walk into Barnes & Noble's, and there's like 3 or 4 people in front of me. And I'm like, any of these people could just ask for the book if it's not gone already, and then I'm screwed, you know. And I'm just waiting. I'm like, they don't understand what they have here. Like, this is ridiculous. And it sat there since Tuesday. And I got it on Friday. So I get to the counter and I go, hey, I was the guy who called about the signed Comac McCarthy book here. And she goes, oh, that was you. She goes, yep, I've got it right here. And she pulls out the set, and it's still in cellophane, and it has the sticker on it that says signed copy. And I'm like, okay, let's do this. And she goes, I'm so glad you showed up when you did, because we have another gentleman on the phone right now who's trying to get us to hold it for him. And I told him the same thing I told you, but he actually is a member right now. So technically we probably could have held it for him, but I knew you were coming up from Meadville. So she goes, he's on hold. Hold on 1 second. She goes, I'm sorry, sir. They did decide to purchase the book. And then she goes, oh, he hung up on me. And I'm like, yes, this is unbelievable. So I walked out of there with a signed McCarthy book. I paid like $70 for it. You can't get them for cheaper than $1,000 right now. So
what's interesting to me is like, now, what do you do with it? Because it's probably more valuable unopened.
Well, I have the books all ready to read. I have individual copies, so I have it just cellophane wrapped up, the set, and like, I guess you keep it.
It would be cool to look at it though.
I know. I want to see his signature and be like, this is it. But if you take the cellophane off, then I don't know that any collector would truly fucking care, because the thing is he only signed. So it's 2 books. He only one of them is signed, and it could be either or. So some people are really being vigilant, and they're going out and trying to find one of each, so they're going to say, I've got both of them signed. But like, it is so rare. It is such a rarity to have his signature on fucking anything. And he is like a Steinbeck or a Faulkner, or like, he's up there. And as soon as he dies, man, I didn't get it to turn a profit on it. Like I said, I have every book he's ever written already. But to have a signed McCarthy in my collection, just my mind is still shell-shocked. I'm just like, this is fucking insane that it's upstairs on my dinner table right now. Like, I can't believe it. He's like one of
That's cool.
Yeah, one of America's best authors ever that we've ever churned out. And so rad. So it's like probably my most prized piece out of all of my collection stuff. I mean, I have some really cool G.I. Joe shit, but that's next to, unbelievable. So
wow, that's neat.
Yeah, super cool. Thought I'd share that with listeners, because I'm just still gobstopped about the whole thing. Like, I can't believe that how many, and when I went there, dude, Barnes and Nobles was packed full of people in their hipster scarves and their fucking tiny glasses, like walking around, and I'm just like, dude, you guys have no clue what's fucking in here right now. I'm like, unreal. Anyways, Yeah. Anyways, yeah. What are you playing, Jake? Let's talk about games we're playing. I'm just still on cloud 9.
I'm still playing God of War. I'm like, I don't know. I gotta be like 30 hours into it at this point. I'm probably getting somewhere near the end of the game. At least it feels kind of like that. Mm-hmm. But I kind of took a break because I've been playing I played the Forspoken demo that came out.
Yeah, me too.
They announced it at the Game Awards or whatever. And so
we'll talk about that.
I played that for a bit, and I don't know how I feel about it. I'm like really conflicted about it because basically visually it looks kind of like I expected it to, just based on all of what we've seen. Mm-hmm. Visually it's awesome. Like, I love the style of it and everything. Mm-hmm. I don't like the controls. I don't like the way the game controls. It controls really sluggishly. I don't know why, especially jumping from God of War, which people typically associate God of War with a very kind of like weighty, kind of tanky feel to him. Mm-hmm. But I don't know, like, unless you're like running in parkour mode, like Assassin's Creed style, the Frey kind of, when she's like transitioning back and forth, feels very sluggish. I don't know if it's like they try to do too much with animations or what, but like,
it is just a demo about it. Yeah,
like, it doesn't feel very snappy to me. Like, there's something about it that just doesn't feel snappy, but I do kind of like what's going on with the gameplay. They basically drop you in with like a shitload of abilities, and so it's kind of overwhelming to switch between them all and figure out what the hell's going on. Like, I feel like I've only played it for an hour, so I'm still kind of fresh. I feel like if you started from the beginning and you kind of build your way up, like it probably wouldn't seem so overwhelming at first. But I keep pressing like R1 and L1 for attacks and stuff, but those are just the fucking weapon wheels, which to me is super annoying. Dude, like I don't, like just because I'm playing God of War, and like that's like how you play God of War is like in most games, if they use the triggers for attack, like L1 is or like R1 is light attack and R2 is heavy attack. That's just normal if you're using the triggers. But in this game, R1 is the weapon wheel for your R2 attack, and L1 is your weapon wheel for your L2 attack. And
and you got to play. I'm not saying you got to press L1 and R1 at the same time and slide to pick a different moveset. I don't want to sit here and say that it's bad. I'm just saying that I'm not used to it, and it's throwing me off, and I don't particularly care for it. Like I want there to be just a melee attack, and there doesn't appear to be one. It's like you use an ability or you don't. Like you use an ability or you don't attack. Like I want to be able to just kind of rush forward and punch a guy in the face and not have to like be charging some ability or something like that. Yeah.
But there's no like just regular attack. There's no like regular block. As far as I can tell, I mean, maybe there's a way to do it and I just don't know what I'm doing.
They don't cover it in the tutorial if there is.
But I will say the game is really pretty. I like there's something about the atmosphere of the game, the music, the whimsical nature of it. It gives me kind of like Fable vibes a little bit, and it was like hitting me in the right spot while I was playing it.
Wow.
But there's one thing that I will say is that they need to put a fucking option in the menu to like turn the goddamn dialogue off, because between her and whatever the fucking thing is she's talking to, which they don't explain, they don't shut up. Every time you like jump or every time you attack something, there's a comment. There's a conversation back and forth. Like to the point where like they're repeating stuff. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing here? And it's like this, it's like if some, you know, Chinese writers made a knockoff of like Marvel quirkiness. Yeah. Like if that makes any sense, where they make all those quips about like, you know, when they're in the heat of battle, it's like, you know, I don't know. I don't really know how to describe it, but like how like the, you know, Tony Stark has like the snarkiness when he's like in battle or whatever. And it's like that, but some like knockoff version of it where they didn't really understand what they were doing. They were just trying to mimic it. Right. And it like comes off as campy and like kind of a little bit cringy. And I don't want to say a lot of bit cringy, but I don't think that would bother me so much if it wasn't fucking relentless. It's relentless. Yeah. She doesn't shut up the whole time you're running around. I don't know if you had this experience or not.
Yeah, I could.
But this was like my biggest problem with it. It was that.
My take. Yeah.
It was that, and like I don't know what the fuck is going on with the UI in this game. It's like you go into like you press the touchpad and it brings up like your objective list, but it's like all the fish-eyed and shit, and like, dude, I don't know what is going on with like the UI design and the fucking dialogue, but everything else I like. I've been enjoying everything else about it pretty much.
Yeah. So my experience is that I don't feel like the game is exactly what I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be just a scotch more story, and it probably is story driven, but it really is a map for people who like to probably be just completionists and want to just fucking do everything they can. And it didn't seem like the things in the tutorial that you were doing or in the demo that you're doing seem to even fucking matter. There's like little monster boxes that you go in and you fight, you know, you encounter like a group of alligators or something, you can kill them, and then when you kill them all, you get some sort of reward for it. But like the combat, I think, is so shitty. Like I still don't know what square, triangle, or circle do. Well, I know what circle does. I don't know what X jumps, but like why not utilizing square and triangle for maybe some of the move sets? Because in order to like change between whether you want to use a shotgun mode, or for your projectile shooting ability, or you want to do like machine gun mode or like sniper mode, you have to press R1 and select it from the weapon wheel, and then go in and go back to the combat. And it's like, I want to be able to quickly change between those things, and the game doesn't offer that. And then if you want to use different spells, then that means that you can use a sword, a fiery sword. I think some of the spells you get with the flame thing were really cool. Like the one that I really, really liked was the Circle of Fire that you can cast. That's awesome.
I don't know if I saw that one.
And then,
but I do like. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I said like the Legion is really cool, where you get the fire elementals that will fight by your side. That's kind of neat. The ideas are sound, and I think the different spells, different move sets, all that stuff is cool. I think the controls are just garbage, and I think based on the demo, and I think that the map and like you said, like the UI. I bought a new skill set. But it took me probably 5 minutes to figure out how to do it, because it was like, oh, you can purchase new skills in the menu, and I go to the menu and it's just this fucking branching tree, and I didn't understand like what to click on.
Oh, it's like lightning everywhere. It's like fucking weird. I don't.
So bad.
The UI is so bad. But I will say, I think a lot of the combat, like the issues that you have with combat, I feel like if they just remedied the control system, it would be actually really fun. Like I think that like you have the two, there's like, whose abilities do you want to use? Frey's or like Steve's? I don't know what the fuck the other thing is.
Yeah,
I assume it's the thing she's talking to.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's like that thing that's on her wrist like has something in a spirit in it or something bracelet, that she's talking to or whatever. But I was thinking a lot of games will do this, where it's like, okay, you have like a favorites menu where it's like, doesn't matter what skill set it is, you can choose like 3 abilities and you can quick change between them with like, you know, maybe the arrow keys, or maybe just tap triangle and it cycles between them. And then if you want the minutia, you can use the weapon wheels to select all of the abilities.
Right.
If they just did something like that, where you could just snap between abilities, and maybe just allowed you to maybe remap the shit a little bit so that you can use different buttons to attack and stuff. Like, because I would love, for example, if they did it like Diablo style, where like the fire ability, where you have like the fire sword thing, where it's just a basic melee attack where you're just like swinging the sword or whatever, but it just like is like a rod of fire. I don't know what the fuck it's called. But if you could, like, let's say, bind that to square, and then you could bind like the machine gun ability to R2,
like
and
you go to ones that you want to use.
Yeah, and you could bind like the, I don't know, let's say like the fire spirit ability to like triangle, and then instead of having to switch between all of these, you can just run up to a group of enemies and just tap square if you want to like hit them with the fucking melee attack, and then you could jump back and just pull the trigger with R2 and shoot your, you know, your melee or your machine gun weapon or whatever. Like if they just made the controls better, I think the game would be really fun to play.
Yeah, switching between the weapons, and I like the versatility of having all the different spells and stuff. But like, you know, not only for the regular attacks do you have all that shit to deal with, but you have the exact same fucking wheels for the spells. And it's just like, you know, use the D-pad or some shit. Like, why can't you use the D-pad to like, or why can't you swipe on the touchpad to fucking change shit? Maybe you can. Maybe I missed it somewhere, but as it stands, man, this is not a buy for me. If that combat's like that, there's no way I'm going to enjoy it, because I don't know how many times I'm just fucking just jamming shit and I can't figure out like what spell I'm on, what cast is on, like what I don't know. Like the fact that to change from like close range to long range requires you to, number one, make sure you have that selected. But then you have to push L1 and R1, and then use the analog stick, swipe it over to switch to the new spell set, and then make sure that your sword's selected. It's just 4 steps too many. Like, it's
way too many.
It's ridiculous.
And I don't even think it pauses when you go into the weapon.
it doesn't.
Wheel.
It doesn't.
It just slows down a little, maybe. But like, dude, if I got to do all this shit just to switch to a specific ability that I want, if I want like the fucking machine gun and then I want to go to the fire sword, it's like you said, you've got to like kind of run away
and think about
hold
how
L1 and R1, you know, go to the left to switch to the fire abilities, then hold down R1 by itself, select the fucking sword.
Yeah.
And then now I can use R2.
And just hope that you have a good spell already equipped for that set. It's just I don't know.
It's so frustrating because
doesn't make sense.
Yeah. But I do honestly feel like if they could make the controls better so that you don't have to do all of this monkeying around to play the game, that I do think it would be a lot of fun. And I'm not going to sit here and say that it's going to let's say that they come out and they're like, we fixed the controls, they're perfect now, there's nothing to complain about. Would it still be a day one purchase for me? Probably not.
Yeah, me either.
Unless I saw something else about it that would lean me towards it. But it would definitely be like a first wave sale kind of purchase.
Like a $30 maybe.
Yeah, like I'd pay $30 or $40 for it as long as I could get the get the
controls figured out.
I can play it the way I want, and I'm not freaking trying to do a juggling act just to switch between two weapons.
And a game that's so primarily focused on those things, that's the selling point, is all the cool move attacks and or the attack moves.
And they look cool as
spells.
shit too.
Yeah, they're really neat. They're creative. The ability just to cast fire elementals to help you fight, and like plants that wrap up and bind enemies that you can just then attack them long range. Like, it's really cool, but the implementation of it is terrible. So
I know that the team that did this was the team that did Final Fantasy 15. And I think a lot of people might have had issues with the way that the open world and also the way that the combat worked a little bit with Final Fantasy 15. And I think that some of that might have bled into this game. But I will say that, I'll reiterate, I think that visually this game is really interesting and unique, and the abilities look really cool.
Yeah.
I love the way that she has that ability to did you use the grappling hook thing?
I don't think so.
Did you figure that out?
No.
So when you're running along on the cliffside, sometimes there'll be those glowing rock outcroppings.
Yeah, those yellow ones.
So if you hold square down, it'll slow down and you can target on one of those. And when you release, she'll shoot out a grappling hook, grab it, and launch herself up into the air.
Oh, that's cool.
So you can travel up the cliff face by
nice.
Essentially going between these things to get to the top.
Yeah, because it took me 10 minutes to climb a cliff recently, and I was just like, this is so stupid.
Yeah. So, but they don't tell you that, right? I'm sure maybe if you played the real game at the beginning,
I'm sure they
would show you that. But
it's just a demo now.
And then I did notice that so I played the game. It starts out in, what do they call, quality mode or whatever.
Yes.
And dude, I cannot fucking tolerate 30 frames anymore. I can't do it. So I switched it over to performance mode, which looks like I don't know if it's a full 60, but it's definitely a lot better. Did you go 120 frames? I did enable the 120 hertz mode because my TV does have true 120 hertz.
Yep,
and it does look pretty good. Now I will say that and maybe I just don't have a good TV. I don't know, but dude, when I switch between quality mode and performance mode, I literally cannot tell the difference visually. And I don't but
it's you, dude.
Purposefully,
it's you.
Dude, I purposefully bought a TV. But you like a lot of people fucking sit way too close to a TV that's way too big for the room.
Don't make this a me problem.
So, no, I'm saying that if you were in a room, if you appropriately size your TV to your room, right. I don't mean you personally. I just mean generally.
There's a certain
most people buy TVs that are too big for the room that they're in. And so maybe my TV's a little too small, but I have a 55-inch TV and I'm sitting 8 feet away from it, which is the normal sort of ratio you're supposed to go by. And the only thing that it seems like they drop between quality mode and performance mode is resolution. And with my TV, because I'm so far away, I can't really tell the difference. And ray tracing, which I think is only going to really make a big difference if you're in a low light, transitional light sort of scenario where there's a lot of shadows and things like that. I might notice a difference there. Yeah. But what I was disappointed about was that I saw they had a ray tracing mode. They had a quality mode, a ray tracing mode, and a performance mode. Yeah. And I thought maybe the ray tracing mode would be like Ratchet and Clank, how they have
in between, yeah.
You know, they have basically like the high frame rate, but with ray tracing. But whenever I turn ray tracing on, it's just as fucking slow as the quality mode.
There's no
So
boost,
I was just so I was just like, screw it. You know, I'm just going to play in performance mode. Anyway, I guess my rant's over. But I will say, I do think that people should play it because I think that there's something cool about it. I think if enough people play the demo and bitch about the controls, maybe they'll just fix them, and then it'll be definitely worth playing after that. You know, I think that if people can, I'm pretty good at, like when the first trailer came out, you remember how everybody was dunking on this game for like the dialogue and the trailers and stuff. I'm pretty good about, like, I don't know if you want to call it suspension of disbelief or whatever, but like it doesn't really necessarily apply. But the idea of just like kind of playing through the cheese, like it doesn't really bother me when characters say stupid stuff. It's a video game. Like I'm not, if it was The Last of Us and Ellie was like, whoa, bleh, like I would be like, okay, that's a little like off brand.
Yeah.
But this is, you know, kind of a campy sort of story anyway. So it doesn't really bother me, but dude, they need to dial back the frequency of the conversation while you're running around the world. That's the only thing that I have to say about that.
Well, it's fun that it's fun that we had something to talk about for games we're playing that's relatively new. And that was announced at the Game Awards, which we're going to get to later. We're going to talk about that in a little bit here on the show. But
we could literally, I mean, I don't know how much, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I don't know how much of this stuff that's in the regular news that you want to kind of blow through.
Oh, we're going to blow through the regular news pretty quick. For sure.
I was going to say, because we could spend a whole episode on just the Game Awards.
That's where the fat's going to be.
Of shit.
Yeah.
So, okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. But yeah, so that's that. That's what I just finished that up, and I'm still playing Warzone here and there. And then God of War Ragnarok, I also have not beaten that.
Did you see? So I didn't. I'm sorry. Since you're playing Warzone, I wanted to ask. I saw that they announced the first ever raids for Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Do you know, is that in Warzone or is that in regular Modern Warfare 2?
I think it's regular Call of Duty. I don't think those are included in Warzone.
Okay. I was going to say, like,
those are
being being a semi-online guy, that's something you'd probably really like.
I think I would love it.
And especially if you can get a few people to play with you.
Yeah.
But I just didn't know because I just wanted to, because if, you know, you were playing Warzone, you commented on it, I wanted to touch on it before we moved on.
Yeah, I got a group of people. Yeah, so we'll see. I mean, if it's a Warzone feature, man, I'm sure the four of us would like to jump in and give it a whirl. Especially if you have a group of people that you can communicate with and play with. Yeah, I like the idea of that, especially in the Call of Duty world where it's a little more military based. Yeah, God of War Ragnarok. I gotta be so close to the ending. I just set it down for a bit, and you gotta be in the right mindset to play it. But yeah, so that's games we're playing. I want to dive into some quick listener feedback before we get on with the news and talk about the Game Awards for today's show. The first thing, Jake, we were talking about snowboarding games last episode, and One Black Talon wrote in and indicated that he believes, or she believes, I think it's a dude, but they believe that there is snowboarding in Riders Republic. And
I believe so. I think you're right. I think you sent me a message about that.
Yeah, and then I said, yeah, this is the game I think Jake was struggling with, and he said, no. I think Jake said Steep, but I haven't played Riders Republic, but both by Ubisoft. But Riders Republic is only $15. Both have snowboarding. Thanks for the podcast. So you are welcome. And played by Ken writes in. And he was upset that I botched the question on the quiz last episode. He writes in, "Oh, Fred, what did you do? Why did you change your answer on that quiz? You had it and threw it away. At the last second, I let out an audible no." Great stuff again, guys. Nearly forgot to leave a comment for your algorithms. Trying to help out the podcast despite having listened earlier this week, but better late than never, right? I wonder what you guys will make of the Game Awards. The wife and I watched it last night. The low point, as always, was all those damn trailers with the caption, "not actual gameplay." And there were a lot of them. Struggling to think of many highlights. So I did write them back, and we'll get into maybe a little bit more of our conversation when we start discussing the Game Awards, what I wrote back, played by Ken. But that is the feedback that we've had. And let's just jump right into the news for the week. And I don't want to say it's lackluster, but the big topic, like we said earlier, is going to be the Game Awards. So the first thing is that Monster Hunter Rise will only be available digitally on the PS5 and PS4. So there's going to be no physical version of that game when it gets ported. It's a Nintendo Switch and PC port. So Monster Hunter fans who listen to the show, I think we have a few. Rise, you're only going to be able to get a digital copy, which I think Jake is probably more than fine with.
I wonder if that's going to be more of a thing.
Well, like that's kind of why I included it. Yeah.
I know that, what was I going to say? It was a PC game first, I think. I think it was on Switch, but it was also on PC, and PC doesn't do anything physical anymore. So maybe like because it was there first, they were just like, fuck it, let's just make it digital only on console too and see what happens. We don't have to pay distribution fees or anything like that.
Yeah.
And maybe that's going to be a thing. I don't know. I mean, like I said, I don't really have a problem with this, but other people might. I can understand that.
Yeah, for sure. So the next news point, and we're going to talk more about this game here in a minute, but the Star Wars Jedi Survivor now has a release date of 3/16/23. So we got a solid release date for that game. I think that was announced at the Game Awards, which we'll be talking more about the trailer and more on that in a minute. And then the next thing involves God of War Ragnarok. Is this game did not ship out with a photo mode. And I thought that was weird because I had been actively trying to find it. And I'm like, either there isn't one or I just can't. I'm a fucking idiot. But apparently the photo mode has now been implemented in recent patch 3.0. And it's going to include some updates to quests and different issues with progressions of skills and whatnot. Did you know it didn't have a photo mode?
No, but I don't really use photo mode very often, at least not in a game like God of War. I use it more in like the open world stuff like Horizon and shit like that. Mm-hmm. But even then I'll take like 1 or 2 photos in a 50-hour game. It's not like a big thing for me. Unless something I used it a lot in Red Dead because of like weird shit would happen and I would just take pictures of it. But with the Sony stuff, you usually don't have that many like funny things happening. It's usually relatively serious. So anyway, but no, I did not know that.
Yeah, I still lament about the day that I lost my horse in Red Dead 2. Fucking ridiculous. I had the horse the whole game. You remember the story? And I went to rob a fucking train, and the train was going over a bridge, and the horse just kept running by my side loyally and just went right off the cliff. Just as it fell, and I'm like on the fucking train, like trying to figure out how to save him. I didn't get to him in time. Like fucking 40, 50 hours of fucking me and that horse just being cool friends. The next news point, and this one's interesting actually. And, I have a renewed interest in this game because I've played it on PS5 recently. And it's just that Cyberpunk was supposed to be getting a multiplayer mode. And I had forgotten that they had discussed this. But in a recent report from Eurogamer, they indicate that multiplayer mode was actually scrapped after their really bad release. And CD Projekt Red had to kind of redelegate the work to the developers to making the game actually work after it got released. So all the people that were supposed to be working on the multiplayer got sucked into just fixing the fucking regular game. So, and we'll discuss the Phantom Liberty downloadable content when we get to our discussion about what they showed at the Game Awards. But as a side note, if you haven't picked up Cyberpunk 2077, after Phantom Liberty releases, they did say that they're going to release a Game of the Year version of the game. So if you want to get essentially probably Phantom Liberty included with the purchase of the regular game, just wait until Phantom Liberty comes out, it sounds like, and you can just scoop it all up for the Game of the Year version, which is usually never more expensive than the regular version. I don't know. What do you think of that?
Well, first of all, I think it was freaking stupid for them to even think about doing a multiplayer mode before the game proper was actually fucking functional.
Yeah.
But I don't know. The Cyberpunk story, it's come back. It's been better. People have been really liking it. And to be fair, I really liked it when I played it. But I think it's just one of those things where a studio bites off more than they can chew. and rather than coming out with a just solid fucking game and then adding features on afterwards as DLC, or you can even make it paid content or whatever, they just decided to try to do it all at once and came out with a broke ass game. Now, I do admit that it's kind of nice that they decided for Phantom Liberty to just say, fuck it, this is PS5, Xbox Series only, PC. There's no last gen consoles involved in this. So if you bought the PS4 version or the Xbox One version of Cyberpunk, you're SOL for the DLC, which sucks for them, I admit, but
it's the right call.
Dude, at this point, if you want, dude, you can buy a fucking, like, let's say that the lowest barrier of entry to the newest generation is to go buy a fucking Xbox Series S. They're $250 right now. And you could play this game on the new generation hardware. Yeah, it's not as good as the Series X, but it does almost everything almost as well, and it's half the size.
Right.
So, and this is a PlayStation podcast. Obviously, if you can get a PS5, buy a PS5. But if price is a barrier, the Series S is half the price.
Right. And then
if you want to play this.
And then honestly, if you don't have that kind of money and you have $75, go find the Comac McCarthy signed novel, buy it for $75 and sell it on eBay for $1,000 right now. And then you'll be good.
And buy a PS5.
And buy a PS5. Buy two PS5. Or just hang on to that fucking book because it's treasure. Anyways, next fucking news point. Moving forward, Grand Theft Auto Online has... I wrote 41. I meant to wrote 47. 41, sorry. Grand Theft Auto Online. I went full tilt on GTA Online for a while this year. I finally got my character into the Red Dead, or into the Dr. Dre missions, and I never finished them. I need to go back to it. But GTA Online is getting an update to include ray traced reflections in the online mode for their fidelity switch. So if you're playing online in fidelity, I don't know why you would. You get ray traced, and the ability to filter contacts quicker is also being introduced, which would be nice. And I believe the game economy is also getting an update, which I don't really care about. But they're talking about like the shark cards where you actually pay real money to get in-game currency. They're making that a little more justifiable. So that being said, I know, Jake, you don't really play any of that, so you probably don't have much to say about that. We'll move on to the next point because we got the Game Awards to talk about. The next one is I've seen a few videos recently. If you're interested at all about what's going on behind the curtain at game developers, Massive Entertainment has some really nice videos on their YouTube channel just about what it's like to work there. A few popped up recently, and now we have one from the Firesprite developer that Sony has. It's some sort of profile video. And Guerrilla Games also has a recent video up about their Amsterdam office. So it's just kind of neat to take a peek behind the curtain to see what it's like in a game development studio and see some of the roles and just kind of hear them talk from the perspective of being like an employee at one of these places. So just for the listeners, if you want a glimpse into, into the magic trick, so to speak, if you want to know how the magic trick's done, maybe ruin the panache for yourself. But it's kind of cool. You know, if you're a responsible adult, you're looking for a job change, I think that there's always positions available at these places, and you don't have to be a developer. I mean, Christ, you could be an HR person, or you could be like some sort of timekeeper. Or I'm sure you could be like PR. You could be quality control, quality testing, all that stuff. Like
be freaking accountant if you want.
Yeah, and just be involved in.
You could do a lot.
Yeah, just to be involved in video games if that's what you like. You could probably land a job with one of these companies if you're willing to make a move. And so, anyways, if you're interested in any of that, you can check those videos out. They're on the YouTube channels for all those different studios. And moving forward, I've been on the fence about Moss Book 2, which is the second version or the second installment of Moss, about picking it up on PSVR, because I'm like, maybe it's going to come to VR too, because that game got done dirty by Sony. Like, it released, and I think it sold terribly, but I bet you it's an amazing game. So it's a sequel to Moss, and it was announced that the game, after all, hasn't been done dirty. Both Moss and Moss Book 2 will be making their way to PSVR 2, which is great news because I loved the first one. You'll be able to purchase them both as a collection for $35 on the PSN. In fact, I think they're on sale right now there. And then the first, you can get Moss Book 1 for PSVR 2 for $17.99, and you can get Moss Book 2 for $26.99 as independent games. And that's awesome. The only bummer news is that if you're like me and you currently own the regular PSVR version of Moss, they're not giving free upgrades. And that decision is entirely up to each developer and studio who are responsible for making these games. And I believe the developer for Moss came out and just indicated, to get the original Moss to work on the PSVR 2 required a lot of resources and time, and we need to make some of that back. So that's fair. It's a fair answer. I mean, it makes sense. It adds up.
I don't know if the bundle will still be $35 for PSVR 2.
Yeah, it is.
But if it is, that's a great deal. I mean, I might pick that up because I always wanted to play the first one, but I just fucking hate hooking up my PSVR.
Oh, it's fucking fantastic.
And now that I've got my VR2 on pre-order, I'm going to want shit to play when it comes. So this seems like a perfect opportunity to get both of those games and just kind of pound them both out.
Really good price. I think that is the price right now for the VR2 versions. I think you can get them right now.
Oh, really? Nice.
Yeah, I think they're on sale 10% off right now. If my memory serves me correctly, and it might not actually, but I'm pretty sure. So the next news point is, sorry folks, I'm writing while I'm talking. We're going to talk about this series, but not this game. That Warhammer 40,000 Darktide game, Jake, it looks awesome. Digital Foundry did a little review on it. We should get this and just fucking squad up with our listeners and just play Warhammer 40,000 Darktide. It would be so awesome.
It looks awesome. If I could play it without paying for it, that would be great, because I'm not gonna like, it would be like maybe like a couple times I might play it because I'm just not an online gamer.
Yeah.
But it looks like visually it looks fucking dope. I mean, even Vermintide looked fucking awesome, but it was a squad based multiplayer game.
Yeah.
So
I think this one looks cooler.
I just never got into
Vermintide.
it. Oh sure, yeah. I think this one's a little bit more gun based. Vermintide was a little bit more like medieval fucking melee weapons and shit like that.
Yep.
So Warhammer is just a dope sprawling universe with just so much lore and shit that they could just make almost any kind of game they want and put the freaking Warhammer tag on it.
Yeah.
But this game does look really good. I did watch a few trailers.
I just wish that they had like an awesome single player campaign with this, because that would be a no-brainer for me. But yeah, the fact that it's online, I agree. But every time I see anything about it, I'm just like, I fucking want to be involved in this somehow. But I don't have the people to play it with. I'm sure I could find some randos, but I don't know. I'm kind of shy. So, anyways, next news point. As I mentioned on the last podcast, we had a listener write in about Microsoft offering Sony a 10-year Call of Duty deal, and it was offered recently to Nintendo, who did sign that agreement. They took them up on the deal. This is if they acquire Activision Blizzard. And they
of course
did
they fucking signed it.
What's that?
Of course they signed it. There's no Call of Duty on Nintendo right now. Why wouldn't they fucking sign it?
So I guess as it stands, they also openly offered this to Sony. And a follow-up to all of this is that the Federal Trade Commission are looking to block the acquisition. They're 100% looking to block it, and I don't know that they're going to be successful. But I think it's really interesting, and there's a big article in Push Square about it, and I think that what they're kind of hanging their hat on, according to Push Square, is that the FTC pointed to Microsoft's record of buying other developers to suppress content from its rivals. Quote, Microsoft decided to make several of Bethesda's titles, including Starfield and Redfall, Microsoft exclusives, despite assurances it had given to European antitrust authorities that it had no incentive to withhold games from rival consoles, end quote. And it said here that the commission voted 3-1 to issue the complaint, with the director of the FTC's Bureau of Competition, Holly Vadova, adding, quote, Microsoft has already shown that it can and will withhold content from its gaming rivals. Today, we seek to stop Microsoft from gaining control over a leading independent game studio and using it to harm competition in multiple dynamic and fast-growing gaming markets, end quote. So, it's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know if there's too much more to say about this. I mean, there's a lot to say about this.
Well,
We're not the podcast.
What's your
to cover
opinion, though?
this.
Do you think that they're going to be successful in stopping this? Just gut feeling.
No, I think it's
Me
still
either.
going to go through. I think that there's just going to be a lot of concessions required.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, like Sony, if they could get a signed statement that says that Sony could put it on PS Plus, then it would be fucking no-brainer. Sony would sign it tomorrow. But because honestly, because think about it, if Xbox has it on Game Pass, that's like, you know, the incentive for people to buy Xboxes, because Call of Duty could be on Game Pass. Is you pay whatever it is, $100 a year, whatever, and you know you can play any game you want on that service the entire year, including Call of Duty, which is normally going to get $60 out of you anyway. So if you play 2 games, you've paid it off. Whereas like if Sony were to be like, okay, fuck it, we'll put it on PS Plus, and then now it's the same thing. We're even playing field. If you have PS Plus Extra, you can play this game for free, and it's basically the same price as Game Pass. So, and actually, if I'm speaking truth here, PS Plus Extra is cheaper than Game Pass. So
Yeah.
there is a thing there, but Microsoft would never agree to that. So I think what it boils down to now is they just have to agree on what the concessions are, and then once they agree to it, then the deal's gonna go through. And I'll be honest with you, like there's been so much stuff that's come out in the last week in terms of like these legal documents and all this stuff that have really kind of ramped things up, and the FTC now is looking to sue and all this stuff. I don't think it's really going to make a difference. I think it's eventually going to go through anyway. But I don't know. I just, I know we've had some listeners write in and not understand why we're so apathetic about this whole thing and just want it to be finished. But like, think about it this way: Sony wins, and the deal is blocked. Now, Activision's never going to want to work with Sony ever again now, because they just got cheated. They just got cheated out of $70 billion being purchased by Microsoft. So now Activision is never going to want to do all this exclusive content and working with Sony and everything, and they're just going to work with Microsoft anyway.
Assumedly, that's what would happen, right?
Well, I mean, wouldn't you? If someone came up to you, Fred, and they were like, "Hey, I'm going to buy your house for $100 million."
And then the government stepped in and said, "No, you can't sell it for that. It's not worth that."
Yeah. Then you're just gonna be fucking pissed at whoever, like your neighbor called the government and was like, "My house isn't worth $100 million, so you can't buy his house for $100 million." Then you're just gonna fucking hate your neighbor after that. Like to me, it's just like I don't know. I think that long term, it could potentially cause more problems for Sony just in terms of their relationships with the publishing partners than it would cause them harm if Microsoft were to just buy this and make Call of Duty exclusive.
Yeah.
Like, I understand that Call of Duty is a big company. They make a lot of money. But if you're telling me if Sony is just admitting that it's impossible to make a game as good as Call of Duty. And I think if anybody can do it, it's Sony. They just have to fucking try. That's the problem. So anyway, I know everybody's sick of talking about this. I really don't want to get too deep into it anymore.
Oh yeah, we don't have to.
We're not really the podcast to talk about this. We don't have. There are other podcasts out there that do deep dives about this deal and everything that's going on that have a lot more information. I'm basically just gut reaction talking out of my butt every time we talk about this.
But if you want to talk about the FCC instead of the FTC, I do have a communications degree, so I can talk a little bit about the FCC, which is not relevant. So we'll just move on.
I was gonna say, can you tell me about what frequencies I'm allowed to broadcast without getting a permit from the government?
All of them.
Are you sure about that?
As long as the
because
rate,
I don't.
Yeah, as long as the rate. No, yeah, I don't know what they are. It's been 20 fucking years. Speaking of going to college, my student loans are going to be paid off next month. I'm so excited.
You know what's wild is that when I was in college too, the standard student loan repayment period was 20 years, because I assume that's what yours was.
Yeah, I think so.
And everyone I talk to that's younger is like, what are you talking about? Everybody's on a 10-year prepayment period. Like my wife's all 10-year and everything. So like all of our monthly payments are really high because all of her shit's on 10-year repayment, which is fine. I mean, we can afford it, but like
mine were so much easier to pay just because of the actual payment and play. They got way more on interest than they probably should have offered me, but
well, yeah, but it's just I just thought that was kind of weird that now, I mean, maybe that was a post 9/11 or 9/11, a post whatever happened in 2009, the housing crisis, recession thing.
Yeah.
Maybe like after that they stopped doing 10-year or 20-year loans.
I don't know. I
But
don't know. I'm not an expert with
I don't
it.
know.
I just know I've got one more month of paying on them and I'm done fucking out of it.
Nice.
I'm so excited, man. I can't even. Just the freedom that I'll feel will be so nice. Yeah, I never thought the day would come. Let's get into the Game Awards. This is like podcast part 2. So there's a lot of shit here. The first news point. Well, first of all, the Game Awards happened, right? The Game Awards happened. Jeff Keighley was there. I'm not going to talk about the guy that ransacked it at the end. I don't even have what won what, but I know that Elden Ring won Game of the Year. That's all I need to say about it.
Dude, I don't really want to. I didn't watch the thing.
Yeah.
But I did see like some little footage of like that kid getting on stage. And don't you think it's kind of fucking funny that he just walked up there and nobody was like, who the fuck is this guy? Like I think that it's really interesting that he was able to do that in this, like everybody there is an industry person. How did they not be like, who the fuck is this guy? Like, were they like, oh, maybe it's one of their kids or something? Like, I have no idea, but we'll have to talk about it. I just think it's fine. I just think it's like,
well, I mean, as a viewer, I don't know who half the fucking people are behind the video games. You know, I couldn't tell you who's who. And I bet you those studios are just so big. Some of those people don't even know one another. And they're like, oh yeah, this guy must have done sound or something, you know, let him be in the spotlight for a minute too, you know, or this guy might have been like the fucking VO director, or, you know, who fuck knows? Like some people just don't know. And the studio's so big, but he was really young. But yeah, let's move on to the actual things that we saw that are worth talking about. I will just say in general too, God of War cleaned house on a lot of things. God of War cleaned house. Elden Ring won Game of the Year. So that's all that probably people really fucking care about. Edge Runners didn't win the best adaptation. I think something else did. Persona or something. I don't know what did. I was kind of disappointed that Edge Runners didn't win because I'm 2 episodes away from finishing that and it's really good. So let's get into it. Company of Heroes 3 was announced for console. This is the first time that we're going to get this real-time strategy game on console, developed by Relic Entertainment. And the controls, apparently, according to the studio, are being reworked so that they work well with console. And the game's going to feature a mode or a thing called tactical pause so that you can freeze the action so you can collect your thoughts in the middle of battle. Have you ever played a Company of Heroes game?
No, I've looked at like there's been a bunch of different times on PC where I've considered picking one up and playing it because I just thought because it's like a World War II RTS,
it looks
which is
cool.
kind of interesting. But I've never picked it up and actually tried it out.
That is far from one of the big topics, so we'll keep moving on. The next news point, which is pretty exciting, I think, probably for some people, is that Street Fighter 6. They showed off a lot in the way of we got to see 4 new characters. Well, 1 returning character, DJ, and then 3 new characters, Manon, Marissa, and JP. And we have a confirmed release date or release month, June of 2023, which is also, when we'll get to it, the month that Diablo 4 is releasing. But it looks like June's shaping up to be a pretty cool release month. The more I see of Street Fighter 6, the more I just really want to play it. I don't know. Street Fighter games are fantastic. Jake, did you have anything to say about Street Fighter?
I see that DJ is coming back.
Yeah.
The Jamaican guy.
Yep, DJ Manon.
It's always interesting.
Marissa.
I'm not going to play this. I'm just going to say that out right now.
That's fine. Yeah, no judgment.
I mean, I know it's huge for the fighting game community, but I can't do it.
No judgment here. All right, cool. Next Game Awards thing that we want to go over is we got a gameplay trailer that didn't really show off any gameplay, and it's one of the things that I believe Played by Ken was talking about. But the new title, a new title being developed by a new studio called Ascendant Studios. The game's called Immortals of AVEUM. This will be a first-person shooter, and it's coming to PlayStation 5 in 2023. It actually looks kind of cool based on what I've seen, but do we really know? At the end of the trailer, it seems like you get a little bit of a gameplay clip towards the very end.
Is this the one that's an EA Originals title?
I don't remember. There was a lot of shit shown.
Because there was so much. I spent like fucking an hour and a half watching trailers, I felt like, from this show.
Yeah.
And I think it might be the one that's in EA Originals. It looks cool. I mean, just visually looks cool. Who knows what it is? It looks like it might be some kind of a first person thing. But yeah, I don't know. It's like you like the character like walks out through like a doorway and just the world is fucking under siege, like all this battle's going on. And they've got this weird gauntlet with like some fucking gyroscope in it and casting a spell or something. I don't know. It looks neat though.
It does look really cool. The next game that I thought was really cool, and I think that this was Game Awards material. I'm actually not entirely sure. It fell into the news section on Push Square where they were talking about the Game Awards. But there's a game called Viewfinder. Jake, did you see the trailer for this game?
I don't think so.
Look it up, dude. The website is just sos.games/viewfinder.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
This game is one of those games that kind of dicks around with your perspective. It's like a first-person game, and it screws with dimensionality. So if you're into those weird kind of games, look at the trailer. It's really mind-bending. It reminds me a bit of, what was that? You would know. What's that 2D game that was a platformer that was like essentially like a...
Fez.
Huh? Fez.
Fez.
It reminds me of
It's
that.
like... It looks like Fez meets...
If Fez was 3D.
Fez meets... What's the game
Portal?
that Jonathan Blunt, or whatever the fuck his name is, made? The puzzle game came out on PS4. You're on the island. You do all the puzzles. The Witness. It's like
Okay.
Fez meets The Witness. Kind of is what it looks like a little bit. Visually looks really cool. I mean, this is one of those games that like there's no way I'm gonna be able to play it.
I'm not, like you're just not gonna be smart.
I think it looks really cool. This is a game that I would like to watch somebody else play, I think.
The thing that's really interesting that they play with is not only are they messing with, like, you take a picture of something and then you use that picture to like move it and then put it in a place that lets you connect pieces of the 3D world you're in. It's kind of hard to explain, but some of the pictures that you take are going to be grainy looking and some are going to be black and white, and you're going to be in a colored environment. So like then you get this crazy amalgamation of different textures and dimensions that open up based on the pictures you take. It looks fucking awesome.
It looks insane. Like this seems like one of those games where you almost have to play it to really understand it, because dude, I'm just watching shit about it, and this guy just has this fucking shitty looking Polaroid, and he just takes a picture, and then he just turns around, just superimposes that picture on the world in front of him, and just fucking walks through it. Like, it's so weird. Like, you can almost use any piece of the world as part of the map.
To
it's
create
really
more of the world you can exist in. Yeah, it's a mind bender, man. Like, it looks like it could be really, really cool. But
it's so fucking wild looking.
Yeah, it's super trippy. Like,
this is hurting my brain.
Yeah, that's exactly what it's made to do, I think. But anyways, that game looks awesome. So let's smash back to Played by Ken's comment. And Played by Ken writes, "Oh, I actually thought of you when I saw the Space Marines 2 trailer." And then he goes on to talk about some other games that were shown at the Game Awards, which we'll get to our opinions on. But he says he hasn't played Death Stranding either, so he's got to do that before he's excited for the sequel. He said Judas didn't look very interesting to him, and he'll be looking forward to our thoughts on that. And then he forgot about the Replace trailer. Let's go back and look at that.
Oh, God damn it.
So, yeah, man. I mean, I don't know. The Warhammer Space Marines 2 trailer looks fucking fantastic. That's all I have.
It literally looks like Space Marine 2. I don't really know how else to describe it. Like,
But
it looks
a newer
exactly
version
like
of it, right?
It looks like, yeah, it looks like they may have, obviously it's been 2 generations since Space Marine came out. So it's pretty freaking cool that they're doing this. The game doesn't look visually too impressive to me, but it looks it looks stylish.
Yeah.
And it looks very Warhammer. And just like the combat looks so just visceral and just heavy, and like that's the cool, like Space Marines are like, you can imagine fucking like Kratos 10,000 years in the future.
Yeah.
With like this crazy ass armor, just with tons of weight behind him, just smashing shit with his freaking
fucking hand cannons,
chainsaw sword,
yeah.
and just mowing people down with shotguns and stuff.
Like fucking bad things.
Oh yeah, it's awesome.
So I went to
I cannot wait.
I went to the Push Square site where they linked to the trailer, and someone on Push Square left a message, and it sounds like an all too familiar experience. They wrote, "I'm all over this next year. I randomly grabbed the first one cheaply in CEX on PS3 over a decade ago for something like a $5, and I couldn't believe how much fun I had with it. Coming from someone who has zero interest in anything Warhammer, 40 million, whatever it's called, I'm surprised I enjoyed that game so much. If it's more of the same, but now with better graphics and smoother gameplay, I can see this doing really well." And yeah, dude, that game was so underrated, the original. Just not looked at. And what a fucking fantastic game the first one was. And the story was awesome too. The story was cool shit. I'm excited to play it, dude. So
yeah, so right now,
oh no,
Warhammer 40K Space Marine on PS3 has a 70 on Metacritic, and I think that is way underrated.
Yeah, I think so too.
I'm not going to sit here and say that it's like a 9 out of 10 or anything like that, but it is the most fucking awesome 70 or 7 out of 10 I've ever played. I'm just saying. And I'm so excited for this new one.
Yeah, it's going to be rad.
I hope it doesn't disappoint me, because we've been fucking, hamming it up for
when the game gets a 10 out of 10 everywhere, then we can be like, you heard it here first, motherfuckers. We've been talking about this game forever.
PS is awesome. 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Space Marine 2 ahead of launch. Based on the trailer.
They should accept a quote from us and put it on the game box. That would be hilarious.
so funny.
That'd be so funny. We've been talking about this game for 20 years. Yeah, anyways. Returnal. We got announced that Returnal, a game I've yet to play, which is kind of crazy to me, is coming to PC. Did we know that or not? Early 2023.
There was a lot of rumors because it was like listed in like SteamDB or something like that. So this makes sense. It would be really at home on PC. So I'm glad that more people are going to get to play it, because I don't know how well it sold on PS5.
Yeah.
But I don't like roguelike games, but I loved Returnal. So I hope that the gameplay in Returnal is some of the best third-person shooting gameplay I've ever experienced. Yeah. So I think that it's awesome that it's coming to PC. I think it will have a nice home there. And I honestly, it's one of those games that I advise that even if you're not really into roguelikes, but you like third-person shooters, pick it up cheap on a sale and give it a go. Or if you're, do you know if it's on PlayStation Plus, like extra or anything?
Yeah,
like
I get it for free, and I haven't played it yet.
Yeah, so especially if you've got PS Plus Extra or something, and you can get it for, quote unquote free with your subscription, give it a go. If you're into that kind of game and you're like between games or something, it's real fun.
Yeah, it's on my list. Let's move forward to another game. The next game I wanted to talk about is called Atomic Heart. And we brought this up briefly at one point on the podcast because it had been new to me at that point. It's definitely going to be a game that you're going to want to watch if you like first-person shooters. It looks really good. To me, what stands out is the originality of the setting. The weapons that looks like you get to use. The enemies look really cool. I don't know a whole lot about the game, being honest. But on Push Square, they indicate to think of this game as a chaotic BioShock set in an alternate history of Soviet Russia. But I think it's definitely set in the future because they're like robots and shit. The game was developed by Mundfish and published by Focus Entertainment and For Divinity. So the thing about this game is this trailer it got, or whatever this gameplay thing is, it looks so cool. I
love that they
I don't know.
They I don't know if this was a thing in the past, but in previous trailers it kind of just looked like a BioShock-ish kind of game, you know, just like in style. But they took that fucking Doom knob and like cranked it up to 11 for this trailer. Like there's just this gnarly fucking guitar score on the background, and it's just super chaotic, like lots of enemies, crazy abilities, just smash and face like the whole fucking time. I don't know. It looks awesome.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because this is being developed by a Russian studio. I have no idea how the economics of that work because like everybody is embargoing Russia right now, but or not embargoing, but you know,
boycotting.
You know what I mean? They're boycotting them, like sanctioning them, I guess. So, but I think it looks good. I'm gonna try it for sure, especially because it's gonna be available. I think it launched on Game Pass. So if you have an Xbox, you can definitely try it out. No strings attached. So, but it looks great. The trailer was great. I'm excited.
Yeah. And I think ultimately it's important to realize that, you know, when the United States does fucked up shit or when Russia does fucked up shit, it doesn't mean that everyone who lives in that country condones it or agrees with it. So,
definitely.
It's important to remember that, you know, you are not your country. You're your own person. So just, I think that game looks awesome. And it's on my list for 100% certain it's on my list of something that I want to check out. So another game getting published by Focus Entertainment is a game by Don't Nod, who make Life is Strange.
They did Life is Strange, yeah.
Which is really weird because this game is called Banishers, Ghosts of New Eden. It's set in the 17th century. And it's listed as an action RPG, and you play as two proficient ghost hunters and lovers who are faced with impossible odds. So they hunt ghosts. They do discuss in the game description that the female is actually killed and comes back as a ghost, but she helps you in your conquest to capture and take out ghosts who are haunting people negatively. So you're working alongside your lover who died, who's been resurrected as a ghost, and she's helping you still on your plight, which I think is really kind of wild.
It's an interesting idea, and this trailer was like mostly CG, and then at the very end there was like a little smidge of gameplay, and it looks like it could be cool. I mean, Don't Nod, I can't remember if they did that Remember Me game or not. I think they did.
They might have.
And it wasn't like, that was like the last third-person action game they made, if I can remember correctly. And I don't know that it was received very well. So I'll be curious to see if they can tighten it up and make this game as an action game rather than just like an adventure-y kind of game like Life is Strange.
The trailer looks awesome. The trailer
does look good.
I don't think any of it's gameplay, but it looks really good. So I think that the idea of this story lends a lot of potential mini stories, right? I just think like there could be a lot here if you like story in games. So anyways, I will just mention, anyone who watches this on YouTube, man, I tried to pull back up that trailer for whatever it's called, the previous game I was talking about, not Banishers, but Atomic Heart. And as I did it briefly, some of the audio kicked on because that's just the way that it works. And I had to mute it, and I drug my window up, and it kind of screwed up Jacob's window on the podcast on YouTube briefly. It got smaller, but I had to fix it. So anyways, that's what happened. I'm aware that happened. It's no big deal. It's just shit that happens once in a while. The next news point, and I've never played this game, and I know that it was critically received well, but Dead Cells. And Dead Cells is getting some sort of crossover with Castlevania's DLC, which is awesome. And I'm sure the developer, Motion Twin, were stoked to make it a reality. And it's going to be offered as DLC for the original game. Now, did you see anything about this?
I just saw the trailer and it looks cool. I mean, it's just like almost like an animated trailer, but there's no gameplay or anything. But it looks awesome. It's like the main character from Dead Cells. He's like a Belmont, a body with like an eyeball, flaming eyeball for a head. I don't really know. And then he like teams up with who's that? Simon Belmont from and Alucard to go up against Dracula. Like, it seems pretty cool.
Well, the reason it's so on the nose too is that Dead Cells took direct influence from the Castlevania franchise. So I think that when I read somewhere that like one of the developers had met with some people from Konami who were involved in Castlevania at one point, and the developer realized at some point that like it actually could be a possibility to do this, and just took advantage of this situation. So I'm glad that it exists. Yeah. So I mean, I probably am not going to play it. I don't own Dead Cells. I still need to get to a couple other games on my back burner. But the next one I didn't realize was a VR game. And Skydance Interactive, the people behind Saints and Sinners, The Walking Dead, are working on a new PSVR 2 title game. And it's going to be called Behemoth. And it looks really archaic and medieval. I didn't realize, like I said, that this was actually a PSVR 2 game until I started doing some research for it for the show. And the game's going to have you pitting yourself against really huge monsters and like fucking scary looking things. And it's going to have a lot of melee combat. But part of the traversal mechanic is going to involve getting around with a grappling hook for travel, which sounds really fucking wild in VR. And I'm all about it. My
stomach is turning just thinking about it.
Yeah, it's being built specifically for VR, and there's a trailer for it there on wherever. But Jake, I put a link to it. It looks really, really cool. Again, it's called Behemoth. Did you see anything about this?
Yeah, the trailer looks fucking rad. I don't know what the actual game is going to look like when you go to play it, but I don't know if you're only going to be fighting these giant monsters or if you're going to be like fighting smaller bad guys. Because he like fights the character in the trailer fights like some regular enemies, and then at the end approaches this like behemoth thing. So I don't know if it's going to be like that's the final boss of a level or something like that, or if like it's more of all that you're doing is climbing these behemoths. But I assume that they're called behemoths just because of the name of the trailer. I don't really know that, but I think that visually it looks really cool. But I don't know if any of it was gameplay, so it'd be really interesting to see what it looks like in actual VR.
I agree. And a game that I didn't play that I think maybe you did, Jake, but I bought it on sale for $10 at Walmart for PS5 was Hades. Hades 2 got announced, and that's a big deal. It was announced. We didn't get a release date, but they did say that it will hit early access first. Did you play Hades?
Yeah. I did play Hades. It is really good, and I know that people really like that game. So I'm sure that this was a big deal that Hades 2 was announced. I don't really know, based on the trailer, what like the story is, but you're playing as some female character as opposed to like a male character that you play in the last game. Yeah. And it looks like she's got like some kind of a like undead arm or something like that, which probably grants her some unique abilities and things that are different from the first game.
She's a fucking necromancer.
But it looks... I mean, Supergiant is a fucking, in my opinion, they're like an A-tier developer. So I think that this is going to be a good game no matter what. It is kind of interesting that they're making Hades 2. I think it's the first game that Supergiant has done a sequel to, probably because it's the biggest game they've ever released. But They did what was the first game of theirs I played was Bastion, and then Transistor was also really good on PS4. And then they did that that sport game. I don't remember where you. It's like a God. What the hell is it called? We're like on like a traveling caravan, but you like it's basically a sports game. I don't really remember what it was though.
Yeah, I don't know what
the
that
name
would
of
be.
it. And then Hades, and now they're doing Hades 2, and they're all like they're just a really good quote unquote indie developer.
Yeah.
So that makes indie style games. So I think that this is a great thing.
Cool. Yeah. I think it's a nice announcement, and it's a good place to announce a game like that, because I think it was definitely multi-platform. So the next one's kind of a big deal, and Jake, this is speaking directly to you, probably. Diablo 4, right? Got a nice cinematic trailer, got a glimpse into hell, and it got a release date of 6/6/23. So no surprise they went with the double sixes. So 3 times 2 is 6. Maybe you can get that out of there. But yeah, I don't know, man. What do you think? I know this game initially had a little bit of people were kind of walking around it with a little trepidation, concerned about like the way it's gonna work and stuff. But
I think it's going to be a little bit more of a live service game, which I think has people a little bit concerned, and I guess possibly would have me a little bit concerned too. But I have seen there are some previews out there, and I did watch a preview last night. IGN released a preview of I think it was Brian McCaffrey did it. Played I think he said 12 hours of the game, and did a preview of it. And they showed footage of the game while he was talking over it, and it looks awesome. I'm so excited for this game. I mean, I love Diablo 3. So and they did say in the IGN preview that it does seem to lean more towards Diablo 2 than Diablo 3, which is even better because I love Diablo 3, but Diablo 2 is just freaking awesome. So
that's your baby.
I'm really excited for this. I can't wait for it to come out. It seems like there's going to be some kind of an open beta, because I did see that if you pre-order it, you get like early access to the open beta. Yeah. Who knows when that's going to be?
Yeah.
But I'm excited to give it a try for sure.
Yeah, and it might be a nice hopping on point for Fred too. We'll see. Remnant 2 was announced, which is the sequel to Remnant From the Ashes. This game is going to come in to PS5 in 2023. I didn't play the first Remnant From the Ashes, and I didn't realize it was like a first-person shooter either. Do you know anything about these games?
I don't think it's a first-person shooter,
dude. When I looked it up,
I think it's third person.
When I looked it up, it looked like first person to me.
I'm pretty sure it's third person.
Maybe you're
I could be wrong about that.
You could be,
but
right.
This game looks cool. But I've never played the first one. I think we got the first one on PS Plus or something, but I've never played it. I've heard good things about it though. Yeah,
it's got a 9 out of 10 on Steam, and a 6.8 out of 10 on IMDb, which I didn't know they rate. I don't know. Google users 89% liked it. Is an action role-playing third-person shooter. You are right, from Gunfire Games. So yeah, so we're getting a sequel to this. So if you're a fan of Remnant 2 was announced. And moving forward, the only thing that I have about this next news point is all that I really could find about it. And I tried to watch all of the Game Awards, but I fell asleep during some of it. But I guess Final Fantasy 16 had some sort of showing. But I know that the big news out of that is that it's actually rated M, which is the first time in a long time.
Interesting.
That a Final Fantasy 16
is rated mature.
Yeah.
It's really interesting.
It is interesting. So I don't know why. I don't know, but that's what the rumor is saying. So I don't know. I could have linked to the news story, but I didn't. But that's what I got out of that. So Final Fantasy 16 is coming out, 2023, I think they're saying. So
yeah, I think it's next summer is when it's supposed to come out.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see what all the hubbub's about, why it got an M rating. I'm sure we'll hear more about that between now and then. And now on to the old Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty trailer. And as an aside, real quick, I will say that the song that I recorded, Jake finally got a chance to listen to it, our submission. But it I saw on a website that I don't know if I can trust the number, but it indicated that there were 7,800 songs submitted to that contest.
Wow.
That seems like way too many. And
why is that?
it just seems like
probably millions of people played it.
Yeah,
so
I suppose you're right.
7,800 is like 0.01% of the people that have played the game.
Well, because when I was on the website, the forum only had 6 pages of people talking about it. And I'm like, this is weird. So those numbers, you would think like there would at least be like 50 pages if 7,800 people submitted, 10 posts per page. So there's 60 people that maybe, and some of them were duplicate comments, just saying. But I think a lot of people were in breach of the contract for submitting the song because I believe it should not be already previously released. And there were people who were like, here's my submission, check it out. And they'd show like a link to it on YouTube and then you could listen to the song there. I don't think that they should be doing that. So I think there's going to be a lot of automatic disqualifications. And I just wonder how CD Projekt Red is going to filter through all the shit in a month.
Yeah, it's weird.
Month and a half. But anyways, back to Phantom Liberty, the trailer. And the game announced, and I don't know if he's a bad guy or the president, or I don't think you play as this person, but Idris Elba, the famous actor, is going to be in it. And the game's going to also feature some interesting car combat. So they talked about that being released with a new patch for regular Cyberpunk, but it shows some car combat in the trailer. Trailer looks really awesome. Idris plays Heimdall in the Marvel Universe. He was Bloodsport in the Suicide Squad. He was Brixton in Fast and Furious, and Roland in the Dark Tower. And most importantly, he was Charles Miner in The Office, which is hilarious. But Idris Elba is kind of like a superstar actor. So I'm cool that he's in it. It's cool that he's in it. And I think that's cool. And it looks good. I just don't expect this DLC to be very long. But it does look like they're putting some time into it based on this trailer. There's some new visuals, for sure. I don't know.
Yeah.
It looks cool. And if it's going to be paid content, they can't fuck up with this. They have to offer something worth paying for. So, I don't know. Jake, any opinions on that?
No, I mean, it's cool that they're getting another, I don't know, called AAA actor or something like that to be involved in the DLC. I just hope that the game is good. Really. I mean, that's all I could hope for.
Any opinion about car combat?
I don't want it to be in there at all. I fucking hate car combat. So
yeah. The only car combat.
I hope that's not like the main crux of the thing.
Right. And the only car combat that I could really see that they showed was from the perspective of you being in the passenger seat shooting. So if it's that and the AI's driving and you can just lean out the car and like fucking shoot at stuff, that would be cool. If you're like in Delamain,
it's fine. I still don't love it, but it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like a huge quality of life improvement to the game, but as long as it doesn't suck, I'll be okay with it. Moving forward, this next one's a big deal. Long rumored that we are going to be getting Horizon Forbidden West DLC. Finally confirmed. It's only coming to PS5, and it's titled Burning Shores. For a while, I was nervous that this was going to be like, I guess, and we don't know that it isn't multiplayer content, but I don't think it is. It looks very much single player based on the trailer, but I'm not sure. I don't think they indicated.
I would imagine so, because I feel like they would have made a little bit more of a hubbub about introducing multiplayer to Horizon. But, I mean, they did DLC for the first game, and I think it was Frozen Wilds. It was pretty good. Dude, once I put these games down, I'm basically done with them. I don't know if I'm going to want to jump back in. But I did really enjoy Forbidden West, so we'll see. Because it's coming out in, I think, April or something, right?
Yeah, I really want Silas to be back, and the DLC did not. The DLC trailer they provided did not offer any story beats. Don't know what it involves. Is it just a new location with like random pickups and random fucking encounters, or is there actually a story to it? It was weird. So essentially, just had like Aloy like flying around on the bird, and getting close to like, I don't know. It didn't seem to me like there was much story content, if any, to really tell you what it's about. So I wasn't like super impressed, and I know what you're saying about getting back to these games after you've played them. It's tough. It's tough to return to things, especially with new stuff coming out all the time. But it is nice that they're doing this. Let's get to the next one, which is another really big one. And I haven't played the first one. Like, Played by Ken has not played the first one. Jake, you have played it. Death Stranding 2 was announced, and we got a 4-minute trailer. And you're going to be playing, I believe, a woman, and I believe also that Norman Reedus is making a return as well.
Dude, nobody makes a fucking trailer like Kojima. It's so, I mean, we talked about this ad nauseum on the podcast, but he just makes such good trailers, and this just reminds me that I just have to go back and finish Death Stranding. I never finished it. I got basically to where the game opens up, maybe 10 hours in, and then or maybe like a little less than that, maybe 8 hours in, and then I never finished it. So I really want to get back to it, because I think did it say it was 2023 it was coming out? I don't remember.
I don't remember either.
If it said it was releasing next year or not. But yeah, I thought the trailer was great. I don't know what the fuck is going on. Like, babies turning into octopuses or something, but like it looked cool. I cannot wait to play this. Yeah. Whether or not it'll be for me, I don't know, but I need to get back to the first one for sure. Yeah. Especially since it's on PS Plus.
What a long cinematic trailer too, though. So yeah, very cool. Excuse me. And Jake, this is also right up your alley. This next one, this is a big deal. I thought it looked good. I think Played by Gen thought it didn't really strike his tickle his fancy, but we got a sneak peek at Judas, the new game from Ken Levine, and it was announced for PS5. And obviously Ken Levine was behind the BioShock 1 and 2. Was he involved in 3? I don't remember. I think he was.
Well, he didn't do 2. He did 1. And he did Infinite.
Correct. 1 and 3 he did. I stand corrected. But yes, thank you for that. Yeah, so what did you think of this?
Dude, it looks so fucking awesome. I am so excited for this. I don't know, Mr. Played by Ken, I think you might be a little bit crazy. But if they're not your type of game, then so be it. It literally looks like BioShock in space, which is fucking awesome. I mean, maybe like a little bit different in terms of, it looks like there's more, characters in it that you interact with than maybe there was in the original BioShock. But like, this game to me it looks very cool. It could be, they announced this, so it could be another fucking 5 years before it comes out because Ken Levine's making it. But I think that it looks really cool, and I am very excited.
There is something very stylistic about his approach in the games, right?
Yeah, it's very, there is an element of artsy fartsiness to it for sure.
And that, yeah, I'm looking at the trailer right now, like, and even the way, like, the very beginning, it shows this person at this crash scene, and she's like limping towards the mirror or whatever, and it has these different characters. They look kind of comic booky for sure. And some of the settings and whatnot. I mean, the thing that I thought was the coolest thing about it is this. There's a part in the trailer at about 46 seconds in where your character has like some sort of like computerized pocket watch or something on the back of their hand that they flip open, and they close it. And then all of a sudden, they have fire coming out of their hand. And then in another scene, right after that thing, that pocket watch thing is green. So I think that is going to be the thing that dictates what kind of special powers you have. I don't know what it does or what it's about, but it's a neat idea to think that you can have like some sort of device implanted in your hand that can just like create fire or like whatever the hell else it might do. I don't know. I think the title is a little weird. but I don't know what Judas, I believe, was in the Bible. It's not a name you hear often, and you instantly just associate it with the Bible. At least I do. So I don't know if I believe in the story that he was like a betrayer or like something like that. So I wonder if there's something to do with that theme, not necessarily on a biblical sense, but just like some sort of major betrayal occurs or something. I don't know. Mm-hmm. So
dude, fucking the character design, like Ken Levine's character design is just so fucking good. I don't really even know how to describe. Like there's like everything from, it looks like the main character you play as is just like a woman who has this like thing in her hand, but then like they show some of these other characters. It looks like a small town like freaking Texas Ranger cop guy, and then there's like some young girl that's got pink hair, but like her face is falling apart, and then there's like this black woman who looks like she might be part android, and like her chest has like a mechanical heart that's beating in it. Dude, it looks so fucking cool. I don't know, man. I'm very excited.
Yeah, it's pretty loud looking, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
it's visually stimulating, the whole thing, and whether it's it might not be in everybody's wheelhouse, but I bet you the game is good. Whether or not you like the art direction, I bet you the game is good, but it's hard to say until it comes out. We won't know. Moving forward, last but not least, the one thing that was announced and shown before the Video Game Awards actually start. I believe Sidney Goodman was like doing all these indie titles and stuff, and right before the Game Awards officially started, they showed a trailer for a game called Replaced. This game looks absolutely amazing. The trailer looks so good. It's that 2.5D Octopath Traveler kind of 16-bit 3D, three-dimensional platform kind of thing, but just the setting and the different vibes that you get, like it looked kind of like futuristic, but also not. I don't know what it's about. And if you didn't see the world premiere trailer for Replaced, you have to go watch it because this game looks awesome. And I went to the website. It's playreplace.com. It says Replaced is a 2.5D sci-fi retro futuristic action platformer where you play as REACH, an artificial intelligence trapped in a human body against its own will. Replace combines cinematic platformer, pixel art, and free-flow action combat with a deep, engaging dystopian story set in an alternative 1980s. Explore and uncover the mysteries in and around Phoenix City from the perspective of REACH, who is learning how to be human in a society that has taken a turn for the worst. Everything is ruled by corruption and greed. The ones in power see humans and their organs as nothing more than just currency. It looks rad. I don't know.
Yeah, it does. It looks like that like HD 2D, like you're talking about, Octopath Traveler style, but the gritty art, as opposed to being like 16-bit, like chibi JRPG style, it looks almost like, what was that fucking game I played when I had COVID?
Hong Kong Massacre?
No. It's the same guys that did Sword and Sorcery.
Curse of the Dead Gods?
Sorcery.
I'm striking out, guys.
Second game. It's called... Fuck.
He'll never know.
I don't have any idea.
Was it 2.5D?
It was something with an N. Sword and Sorcery.
Oh, man.
Death.
And the podcast comes screeching to a quiet halt as Jake tries to figure out.
Fuck, I don't know. It's called like... So anyway, whatever, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So it's like this really, it's like all the character models and everything are proportionally correct, but it's really like pixely, like pixelated looking. but like everything is HD and 3D kind of at the same time. And they play a little bit in the trailer. It shows like they play a little bit with camera angles and lighting and stuff, and it does make it look really, really interesting.
Yeah. It looks amazing to me. And some of the camera angles, like there's a scene where you're in a car and you're traveling, and it just shows you the perspective of like if the camera's mounted on the hood looking into the car. It's really neat looking. I can't promise that the game's going to be good, but stylistically, it looks really, really cool to me. So, I don't know. That's about it for the Game Awards. Do you have anything you want to say about the Game Awards in general before we get on to the new games coming out this week and close things up?
What was I going to say? We didn't really talk about Jedi Survivor.
Oh, you're right. That wasn't on my notes. Go ahead.
Which, if you guys haven't played the first game, is pretty good. It's the best Star Wars game we've gotten in a long time. Single-player Star Wars game. So I advise that anyone who was really into the Jedi games of the past, like, Jedi Outcast or Jedi Knight or even Force Unleashed or something like that, give Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order a try. It was made by Respawn, who did Titanfall and stuff like that, and it is really good. The combat can be kind of challenging. This is kind of played out at this point, but it's almost Souls-esque in the way that the combat works. But once you learn the combat, it's not nearly that hard. But like once you learn the combat and you upgrade your character and stuff, it gets easier and easier, and you start feeling like more and more of a badass as a Jedi. And so I'm interested to see what the next game is like for this, for sure. They introduce a cute little fucking droid character like they do in all of the freaking Star Wars games and movies. And
it's named Fred.
Seems like he's going to be there for the next one too. The guy that plays the main character is the redhead from that TV show about like that Netflix show that's about like the trashy people. Oh God,
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Man, my brain is just not functioning today.
I watched a few episodes of it. That dude's in it. William H. Macy's in it.
Yeah.
No, what the hell is it called? Someone right now on the other end is like, it's called rah, 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 yelling at the TV or whatever they're watching.
Yeah. Whatever. It doesn't matter.
It's relentless. No, it's oh God.
He is in William H. Macy.
Shameless.
Shameless.
It feels so much better now.
That was a huge waste of the listeners' time. But anyway,
breathe again.
Yeah, so that game is really good, and we knew it was coming, but they did show a little bit of a gameplay trailer for the next iteration.
And he was at the
game,
Game Awards. The dude showed up.
It looks good. Oh, did he? Was he there?
He was there. Cool. He came out with a lightsaber.
Oh, did he?
Wow, 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 wow. Doing that whole thing. Yeah.
Well, that's cool because, if you guys are into those games, I highly recommend you play the first one because it was a lot of fun. And so I am looking forward to the second one. I don't know if it's a day one game for me, but it's definitely a play at some point kind of game because I do really, every so often, I love a good Jedi game.
You and me both. You want to know how many games I've taken advantage of since I've joined PlayStation Essentials? Or PlayStation, whatever it is. Extra? Zero. The only game so far has been Wheel of Fortune. Because I need to.
Dude, you should play Stray. You should play Stray. Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah, I need to play that. I need to play a couple other ones on there too, like Returnal, and I think the Star Wars game's on there. And but I got to beat God of War first, and that's my focus.
Yeah.
Let's get into the new games, Jake. This week, this has been a long podcast. We told you it was going to be a good one, and we really need to slim these freaking things down.
Well, there was a lot to talk about.
There was a lot. So December 12th, we're getting Wavetail on PS5. December 13th, Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII, PS5, PS4, which is people are real excited about. Grease on PS5, GRIS on PS5, Neon White, PS5, PS4, Operation Wolf Returns. What? First Mission, PS4. Do you remember Operation Wolf, the arcade cabinet in the arcades? It was just like a shooter. It was like a thing where you just boom, boom, boom. It's like Operation Wolf. That's how it sounded like when you turn it on because they couldn't get the vocals to sound right. It was like muffled. Operation Wolf.
Oh, it's like an on-rail shooter.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Is that what it looks like, the new one?
Yeah.
What are the graphics like?
I mean, it looks like a fucking arcade cabinet game.
Hold on.
It doesn't look great, but it might be just a console port of the original.
I gotta see now. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. No, dude, this is so much better than the original. The original was all fucking 8-bit, dude.
Oh, fair enough.
Dude.
Like the old Area 51 games and stuff.
Operation Wolf. Sorry, I gotta quit doing that. Anyways, December 14th, The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt Complete Edition's coming out. Hell fucking yeah. Don't have time for it right this second. December 15th, Azure Striker Gunvolt, PS5, PS4, Blacktail, Casadora on PS5, PS4, Grime on PS4, Kawaii Slime Arena on PS5, PS4, and River City Girls 2, PS5, PS4. I bet you that's amazing. If it's anything like River City Ransom, it's a beat 'em up. I bet you it is. Man, so my picks, just based on what I know, what I don't know, is Crisis Core, Operation Wolf Returns, The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, and River City Girls 2. Those are the four that I would.
Yeah. From what I understand, that Neon White game is pretty cool as well.
Man.
I've heard kind of mixed feelings about Crisis Core, but I still am interested in giving it a try.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Well, shit, man. It's been a long podcast, and it's Saturday.
Yes.
And in order to get this out to the listeners, the patrons, a day early, we better close up shop. If you guys want to get the podcast a day early once in a while, get a shout out on the show and get a free sticker, join the Patreon for $1 a freaking month. You can do it. I have faith in you. But thanks again. You know, if you don't have money to spare, we appreciate you for tuning in and listening to the show. We'll be back next week. And yeah, go find that signed McCarthy book, because I'm telling you, it is the return on your investment on that is going to be tenfold. It already is tenfold. It'll be more in the coming years. So, Jacob, you got anything else you'd like to say? I mean, we're going to put the Christmas song on as soon as we close out, because that's what we do in December. But do you have anything else you want to tack on to the end?
No, I don't think so.
All right.
I'm going to probably do some more, put some more varnish on my railing.
Yeah.
Get all huffed up.
Yeah, take some deep breaths. Take your time, breathe deep.
And if I make it to tomorrow, maybe I'll play some more Forspoken or God of War or something.
Yeah. Yeah, that's probably why you couldn't remember the title of Shameless. You're just all fumed
Could
up,
be.
dude. All right, well, I guess that's it. Thanks for tuning in. Like Hell Is Us, Hellpoint, and Helldivers. P.S.
P.S.
This is
awesome.
Tis the season in northwestern Pennsylvania. I lost my glove for the 100th time. The snow keeps coming, I'ma lose my mind. Tis the season, and I can't stop thinking about you. 2 months ago we were carving pumpkins with mistletoes, or eggnog chugging with us like last year. The snow chased